to continue on with this Stanley Cup thing, and this kind of just came to me as we were discussing goaltending. If Adin Hill wins it for Vegas and carries them past the Panthers and they win the cup, do other teams, mainly the Bruins, start to look at their goaltending and say, maybe it's not the best idea to put a ton of money into your goaltending? And sometimes it's just the guy gets hot. Binnington in 2019 was a good example of that. Now, again, it's hard to project that. It's hard to get someone in there and say, oh, this guy's going to win, all these games in a row and carry us to a cup, and he has no experience. But does that change the outlook at all?
CLNS Media's Bruins coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look at it, right? It comes down to it's so very rare that you have situations where the odds-on best goalies then carries you, right? Like you can look back at the days of Marty Brodeur and all those guys making multiple runs, but look at Lundqvist, right? In terms of how many times he got there, even if it wasn't really his fault. You need so much to go right to get to that point. And I think a goaltending, as monumentally important as goaltending is, it's something where it just depends on how you are over those couple of weeks in the spring, right?
Well, the problem is Vasilevsky's been that guy the last three,
right?
Or
right.
2 out of the 3,
right?
So it's that's strength in that case.
You have
on the
that,
other side.
yeah. But then you look at Bobrovsky, who has that pedigree for years, right, and has been honestly quite bad in Florida so far, but then just gets hot at the right time. And again, if Paul Maurice doesn't go back to him and keeps on going with Alex Ryan, they're probably not even in the spot, right? It just shows you
it's Bruins nights in the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things where it's so tough in terms of carving out that straight path. It's not like even in baseball where you have 1 or 2 ace guys that you can walk in, and all things considered, you probably know what you're expecting out of them if they're anchoring the top of your rotation in the playoffs. Goaltending, you go in with the best laid plans, but it's also hockey. It never really goes that way, right? So, again, if the Bruins want to break up this goaltending duo, it's a tough hit because you kind of use them to win 65 games. But when you get to the playoffs, it all comes down to just who's playing the best. And again, you can't use both of them. The Bruins sure as shit didn't in that 7-game series against Florida. So, it's a tough call, but it's something when you look at just how both Florida and Vegas got there, it's something I'm sure the Bruins have to weigh in terms of should we be committing $9.5 million to our goaltending situation when, again, look, I don't know. I haven't checked how much Adin Hill is making into the cap, but I can't imagine it's that much. And again, Bobrovsky's making 10, but you look at, beyond before you got to this playoff run, Vegas probably looking at any way to move that contract before this year, right? So
100%.
It's a crapshoot, Evan.
It is a complete crapshoot, and I think it's just how the cookie crumbles come the playoffs.
CLNS Media's Bruins coverage is brought to you by FanDuel. New customers get a no-sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win.